for the interest of time, we're going to run because I want us to open this as just a brief discussion. This that we're going to talk about it right now, it's a brief discussion, how we think about money. Because how we think about money is very crucial. Okay? How we think about money is very, very crucial. Okay? And I want you, this is going to take less than 5 minutes. I want you to be able to draw like across 4 sections. In the center, just place something, maybe a dot or something like that. But I just want to bring this pivot that there are 4 ways. Have you ever been at a crossroad? And in the crossroad, there is an accident. Okay? And there are 4 people at the different corners of the crossroad. You know that crossroad is Masanganzira. There is a way, it's a T, not even a T junction, it's actually a crossroad. Because a T junction ends, but a crossroad still continues all the paths. But different people from the different dimensions, the 4 dimensions, are looking at the same accident, and they are seeing different things. Did they see the same accident? Yes, they saw the same accident. But how they are going to view it, maybe someone will know that actually this person knocked, or the other person will know that this person was knocked, or the other person will see the rear side of the car, or the other person will see the other front side of the car. They're all looking at the same thing, but they're all looking at it at different perspective. So even when it comes to money, perspective rules the day. Because we all look at it differently. I remember when I was going through campus we've talked about the phase where we had the shop in Kayunga, and the shop grew, and we came back into town, and I went back to school, and some of you that have followed us for some time, at least you know that bit of the story. But at some point in my life, I remember when that moment when I wanted to go and look for a job. I remember I told you that I got tired. I said I will never be this poor again. And when I moved to town, that is when I meet Dan Peters together with Tim. Dan Peters offered me some radio airtime. But in my mind, I had never been there and thought that, you know what, I am going to get done with school and then I'm going to go look for a job. That had never crossed my mind, even when I was not where I wanted to be. I knew in my life I would never go to a place and look for a job. I didn't know how that was going to happen. But I had never seen myself that I will wake up one day and then I will ask for everything that I am doing at Dynamic, at Spirit Media. Everything is ministry to me. It's not that I set out and came, knocked the door, and I'm like, kindly, I am looking for a job. It is a ministry that I am doing. So you realize that because of my perception, when I went and signed up for counseling and guidance, when Dan Peters actually asked me, God rest his soul, when he asked me and told me, but what do you want to do? I told him I want to do a private practice. I was in my first year. I want to do a private practice. There is no private practice in Uganda. There is no one for me to look at and say, Ntikakati, this is a private firm of counseling, and I don't know what is even being done there. But one thing I knew is I wanted to have my own company and operate it. And so when I told him, I remember, he joked immediately. He went on to look for names. And I remember the very first name I used as Lifex. That was from Dan Peters. He was actually on his way back to the US, and he texted me and he was like, how about Lifex? How about Smanyi Cast Your Cares? How about, he gave me quite some names. And so I was like, you know what? Let me take Lifex. And so I branded myself, and I think that is the time that you started listening in. Now, that is when the dream is taking shape. The dream for me was to finish school and start my own company and start doing work, even when I had never seen anyone do it. So do you see that my approach and my perspective when it comes to the job arena was so different? Because the people that I was studying with, the 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds and 21-year-olds, all they were thinking about is, mfuna huo mlimu, where can I go? What can I do? As in, for them, they did not have the perspective of I can be a job creator, or I can actually own my own job. Yes, own my own job. That is the statement. Because each of the four people that you have written on those crossroads, number one, we have someone who is looking at money. If you place money as the accident, is looking at money as I have to get a job in order to get this money. Okay? And then there is someone who is thinking that I must own a job. Now, a job owner is a self-employed person. You still have a job. The only difference is you are your own boss, okay? But it's still a job. And then there is one that has created systems. They have a business, they have created systems, and the business is running on its own, and they're making quite more money, and you know, everything is flourishing. They can step away from their business, while the business owner cannot step away from their business. They're self-employed. That means they must show up every day. That means they have a job, the only thing they're their own boss. Okay? Now, the person that has created systems is one who can step away from their jobs, and they say that, you know what? And I remember that statement that Tim still told to Dan Peters at some point, and told him, I think it's Dan who asked you what you wanted, and you told him that in 5 years, I don't want to work for you. Was it 5 years? You mentioned a number of years. And you're like, in 5 years, I don't want to work for you. I was like, cool. I don't want you to work for me. I want you to work for yourself. And because he believed in that nurturing and I want to work for yourself. And so he was like, I will be determining how much money I earn, what I do. I will create my own systems. I will run my own. I mean, I don't want to work for you after 5 years. So you realize that some of them can be incrementally, that someone can say, you know what, I have to look for a job, and from looking for a job, be a job owner, and then from a job owner, create systems before I become an investor, because the fourth person is an investor. So you realize that people look at money differently, or the avenues of getting money differently. So you realize that that also determines how long, that also determines how much, that also determines what they get out of it, or the results, the productivity, and all that, and the systems that they put in place. And there are people that even when they get to 50, they can never allow to take a risk of starting a business. All they will look for is, I want a warranty, I want guaranteed income. I want to know that I'm going to earn 500,000, so that every end of month I get that 500,000. Sagala bya kunchitinga nti simanyi commission based. Nti bolete nyingi simanyi ofuna nyingi. Ebyo sibyagala. Njagala kubeera nga nchimanyi akange kagwawo ku date bweti. There are people who are locked into that system. And I think we've had some of them even mention it or brag about it on internet. They're like, me, I was not created to do businesses. I was created to be employed, and I am earning so well, so I will stay employed for the rest of my life. Okay? But again, there is a day that you're going to wake up nga magumba go gagano okuva mbulidi. Wanji? Ngosoti asoti otenga. Nga buli kimu kikusiiwa nga nokukankana. Are you going to be still waking up to go and do someone's job? You're not going to. That means that either way, preparation has to come, whether we want it or not. Okay, and some of it forces itself on us, you know, and it dawns on us so late. That is why some people just don't die because of old age. They die because of anxiety, because of a panic attack. They've gotten to a place like that gentleman that Tim usually talks about that we found in Barara. At around age 60, he is retiring from, he is being forced to retire. Abegairi, let me keep coming to office. And they're saying, no, your time at office is done. And he's saying, now I don't know what to do. My friends, when they get out of office 4 years down the road, they die. I have never done a business. I even don't know how to go and fuel my own car. I have lived in a government house for all my life. Like, where am I going? I don't even have a sense of purpose. I don't have a sense of direction. So you see, for him, he knew for the longest time that the only way to get money, attain money, is get a job and stay at the job and stick at the job. Okay? So do you see where the incremental goals that we talked about come in? That you can be able to shift gears from any of those different dimensions, okay? And that is majorly the psychology around making money. That is how people actually look at it, okay? And when we go to the primary use of money, when you look at a poor person, all they are thinking about is, I want to pay bills and I want to buy stuff. We've all been there. Remember, I told you I've gone through all these phases. As in, I want to pay bills, I want to buy stuff. As in, I just want to pay my rent and then I want to buy clothes. Okay, that was the psychology of making money. That someone will think I can only be employed in order for me to get money. And someone will think that, by the way, now that some of us are actually coaches, will think that, you know what, I need to create systems, okay? And in order to create systems, for example, the systems that we have, that we have at the Coach Foundation, that we have the accelerated mentorship, that you have Beyond Success Running, that you have books as merchandise, that you have, so you have different avenues of bringing in money, and then you have coaching, you have training, and then you actually have, you know, media happening and all that. So you realize that different people look at it differently. Just like the accident that we talked about, that people look at money making differently. An investor will know that I have to take risks. An investor will know that I have to invest. An investor will know, for example, when it comes to the purpose of money, an investor is only thinking of taking risks and investing that money. They don't mind, yes, some of them will speculate, they will look for seasons that are good, they will know what to invest in and all that, but you realize there are people who are cut out to be risk takers in this world. And one of the best risk takers I've seen in this world is actually Tim. I've told you about the vigorous faith that he has, and sometimes I don't have the same faith, but when you stay with someone who has faith, there is a way faith becomes contagious. It rubs on you, you know, because when it comes to investment, he would rather remain without a coin, and he will put it all in. Like, and he will be so sure that even sometimes at first when I used to doubt, and I think I've told him several times, when I don't remember whether he asked me, but I felt the need to tell him. And I told him that, you know, when it comes to finances, you are way better. I'm a hoarder, naturally, as a person, because I grew up in a worry. I didn't know whether we will have a roof over our shoulders. So every time I get money, I think about the future. Yes. Some of us are like that, and we must admit, okay? And we would rather keep for emergency, we would rather keep for, you know, we hoard because of the things, the trauma that we have gone through. And then some of people, it's very easy because they are trusting and they have the security. It's so easy because even when he told me, when we were going to Kayunga, I remember he told me that, you know what? Even when I go to the village, I make the village a city. I will never forget that statement. That even when I go to the village, I will make the village a city. And indeed, he made the village a city, that he had to open branches back in Mukono and where, you know, but coming from the village, okay? And so you realize there are people that are rooted in security, that they're not worried about what tomorrow is going to bring. They're like, you know what, I will manage whatever will come. I don't know how, but I will manage whatever will come. Now, those people are more investors, are more natural investors. It's so easy for them to take a risk that even when it does not pan out, they will say, they will not cry over spilt milk. They will close that door very quickly and face another one. And they will still go ahead to take another risk. Now, I don't want you to, because there are people also that are not calculative. Because there's someone who has ever told me, you know, my husband, whenever he sees money, he tells you, kakati ezo zirete, nafunye yo didwe mpya. But buli didwe fa. Buli didwe fa. Kati, that is not investment. No, that is wastage. Kwanga buli wagule motoka nga bajja nga bajisika. Buli wagule motoka nafuluma nayo takomawo nayo. So you realize that in investment, there is calculation. And let me tell you, there will be a precision. This is the knowledge of God sometimes, but there are people that are super wise and super talented, that they will have the precision of discernment about where they're going to put their resources, and they never go wrong. I don't know whether you've seen such people, that they never go wrong. That something can come close to pinching them, but it will never pinch them. They will always find a way. I don't know whether you've seen, no, let's take it away from the normal life, because now me, I live with a real hero, a movie hero. But you know, hero, where they say that movie stars don't die? Bomwe mukuba no mala nava yunga kanyama. And you're like, my goodness. Buno webo tawabulimba, what is this? Kagamba oli chuma tewenye neye kunkumulati, the Van Dams, and you know those are the things that we bastabe naku zino bafa na mu makati ga film. Ba producers simanche bava naye bava kumulamwa. naye film stars b'ennaku ziri Van Damme, Jet Li, nga tebafa. So, yeah, Terminator, but you realize that there are people that will always find their way out, that you can never doubt their decisions. That when they say to Itewano, for example, if Tim tells me to Itewano, even if it's between a rock and a rock, I will be sure to follow him. I will. Like Chiganireyo. No, like there are so people who are really blessed, and when you stay with such a person, so many things are catch on with you that you're able to make the same decision. That right now he asks me about so many things, and he will tell me that whatever I'm saying is good, and in my heart I'm like, you are the source of, like, I have grasped, because I am the firstborn in my family, and I have never had anyone in my circle that I am very free with. So when I held on, I super glued. I'm like, I am not leaving you and I am not releasing you. But I have given that example just to show you how the investment game, it is very ruthless, it is very tiresome, and sometimes it's lonely, like he explained last time, because you see things that people see. Yeah. When you tell someone, trust me, they're like, trust you. Trust you. You know, like people will think twice, and sometimes you have to go the journey alone, and then they will say, you know, I should have trusted him, I should have done this. So you realize that most investors think about that. When they get money, they will put it into something. You will ask them for money and they will tell you, I don't have money. And genuinely, they don't have it. Because for them, they are thinking about multiplication. They are thinking, how can this money make more money for me? You realize, okay? But the poor person is thinking about bills and buying stuff. And then when you come to middle class, now you have graduated from poverty. Do you know what happens? You elevate your spending. You elevate your bills and you elevate your spending. So for example, badde wera mu nyumba ya mitwalo 10, bwofuna bweba kuongezako omusala. Or get them self-contained, definitely. And self-contained not because of you, because of the people you're going to invite to come and see where you stay. And then you buy clothes so that office will bandabeko mu yellow, encha bandabeko mu kino, neuli bandabeko mu kino, and then kati bo realizing anti loli mbadde nzigula eri wansi nga nkutama. Kakati banyongezaamu ko ne wejiba mitwala 2. Wangenda gula waikiki. Baba zigula bayina msayigwa red. Bayina msayigwa blue. So you're only middle class. Chokoze choka. Oyongedde ku expenditure. Oyongedde ku sente zokola ki. Kati obadde ne 32 inch ngogamba njagala 75. Njagala bwoba obadde ne room ngogamba njagala ki? Njagala kawundo. Hey. As in, is you're adding on your liabilities. You're not thinking about asset acquisition. Now, a person that is a natural investor or that has trained themselves, they will stay in a house of emitwalo 10 and they will put that money somewhere at a junction to make chips and chicken and to make sure that they make more money. They're like, zino zebanyongedde ngenda kwefulanga atazirabye. Ziyitewo buyisi zigende eri mu investment. Remember, we said investment, you don't have to have much money. You just have to be very strategic to know that, by the way, neyongerako chachi. And by the way, after you grow, that is when you realize. I remember when I was a girl, I used to think, oh, I want to have this, I want to have that, I want to have that. You know, like you in your apartment, you want everything. Now looking back, I'm like, what a waste of time. What a waste of time. Because half the time when you're getting married, you're giving out the things. And here you are collecting because you want to chill. No, chill on your mattress, chill on your carpet, chill as in, but make sure that you fortify yourself, make sure that you grow your money, make sure that you change your dimension, heal your trauma first. Because without healing your trauma, you will keep doing mistakes and performing mistakes. So you realize that when it comes to how we spend, also the poor, the middle class, and the rich people spend differently. Okay, so I just wanted to bring that to us when it comes to just to visualize where you are and how you want to look at this whole game. Okay, how you want to look at this whole game. And that is where you can even put it on your, either you have a y-axis and an x-axis, and you're like, okay, in 2 years time, in 3 years time, in 4 years time, in 5 years time, this is where I want to be. You can create your own therapy home. Okay, and with rehabilitation, okay, and it's a full-fledged home and a healing home, and that is very possible. Okay, so there's so many things that we can do. You can have a college training real estate and graduating and certifying people in real estate, and we need those because a time has come where we are getting off that analog way of doing real estate, and now we are on the digital way of doing real estate. So you realize that, I mean, the machinery and everything that you're doing, in 2 years' time, in 3 years' time, it shouldn't be the curve that is dropping, it should be the curve that is growing and going higher and higher. That if this is the money that I was getting, this is the money I hope to get, and this is the money that I hope to get, because when you're creating systems, remember your expenses are also growing. You have to have the machinery. That means as they grow, your income must be able to triple and quadruple in order to sustain your smooth running of whatever you're doing. Okay, so I know that we have 20 minutes to go. Are they 20? Are they 20? If they're 20, then I don't think we should be able to add on to this. But I want us to be able to discuss what we have talked about and be able to apply it in our own lives. What is your thought? Who are you? Are you the kind that is saying, are you the kind that is saying that, you know what, I am this coach that is going to hold this briefcase and this company in this briefcase, I am going to work on my own and I am going to own this job? Or are you the coach that is saying, I am going to grow to a capacity where I have created the systems, or a business person that says, I have created the systems, I have delegation of people that are working and we are getting more money than when I am just a job owner? Because sometimes you have to be a job owner in order to graduate to building the systems, because then when you know the systems, then you can be able to train and be able to orient others in order to run those systems. For example, your machinery, you had to first learn it yourself. Maybe your wife joined you, and after some time, that is when you had to reorient other people, and so that you can widen this and make it bigger and have more bigger production. Have a great night and have a beautiful weekend.